Good evening, guys. Welcome to the first ever Springfield podcast. I'm super excited to get started because we have one of the most special guests in our office today. We have the famous Dr. Baydoun, Dr. Mohammed Baydoun, the doctor of Dubai's real estate market. Welcome to Springfield Properties.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be with you, gents, today.
Thank you so much, and it's our pleasure. And you know what? It's a very special podcast because this is our first episode of Springfield Podcast. And before we get started, let me introduce you guys to Dr. Mohammed Baydoun, also known as Dr. Risk Management. He's currently the head of development and concept department at Damac Properties, the largest private development company in the UAE and most probably in the Middle East as well. You know, the biggest names if you've come to Dubai, you've seen Damac on top of nearly every other building in Dubai. Mr. Baydoun, Dr. Baydoun is leading a team of urban planners, urban designers, architects, financial and sales analysts, and engineers from Beirut. His career started in real estate, has taken him across the globe. But there's more to this dynamic individual. He has black belts in karate, in mixed martial arts. He knows how to pack a punch both inside and outside the boardroom, and is an accomplished author of over 18 publications under his belt. Congratulations about that.
Thank you.
Dr. Baydoun has over 20 years of work experience in the field, though it doesn't look like it. I must say, I must compliment you on your strict working out regime. He has previously managed various mega projects like Al Zahia by Majid Al Fatem, the D4 project, Lebanon Waterfront City, King Abdullah expansion of Al Haram in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, Jazirat Al Aras, and many more. He has experience as a lecturer at the American University of Beirut for 5 years. And currently he's managing multiple mega projects like Damac Hills, Damac Towers, Koya Oxygen, and many more, which have a total estimation of over 30 billion dirhams. Dr. Baydoun, you must be a busy man.
I am.
So, to begin with, my first question for you, since you are widely now regarded as the doctor of Dubai's real estate market, how is the health of Dubai's real estate market?
Literally at its best. I'm going to tell you why. It's not just because I'm being optimistic or I want to confront people in that area. No, not true at all. I believe now in Dubai we are moving to a new era. People currently are analyzing the Dubai's market from a wrong lens. They are looking at the prices and how it's going up, and they are presuming that we are in the upturn of the market and they're expecting a downturn at any point in time. I fully disagree with this perspective. Dubai now is reaching a mature stage. But before talking about Dubai, let me explain the concept of urban growth that's the major driver for value of properties in any country in the world. Everything is driven by the following: density of population and scarcity of land. Before Dubai, because obviously it's a relatively young city, you used to have a lot of empty lands. The developers used to have a lot of options when it comes to buying lands and developing. Now that's not the case anymore. Land in prime areas is becoming very scarce, and also the size of population in UAE is growing. We're touching now the 10 million residents in all of UAE, which is a huge number, and the number is still growing. So the population density is there. Scarcity of land is there. And that's why the city is moving on to the tier of mature cities like London, Paris, Singapore. And that's why what we're seeing now is not an increase in property value. It's a rectification of prices in the real estate value. Because from here onwards, I don't see any way back to the old prices of 2014-15. That's impossible.
I 100% agree with you when you're talking about population growth. I mean, I've been here for over 32 years now in Dubai, and I know, I think I was here when the population was 500,000, and now we're at 10 million. I mean, the population has exponentially grown, and I remember as a kid, I used to ask my father, when is this construction going to end? Because Dubai was always under construction, and 30 years later, we are still at that stage where new things are coming up. The city is growing exponentially, and it's beautiful, and we're lucky to be in the city.
100%.
Dr. Baydoun, Tell us, how did you get started in this field?
It all started by coincidence, actually. I studied architecture. This is how the whole thing started. And my plan was to become a specialized concept designer only. But things move in a direction that I didn't plan. It worked to my benefit. I had the #1 ranking on my university when I graduated from the School of Architecture.
wow.
So they offered me a scholarship to study urban design, although my plan was to study architectural design outside of Lebanon. But the opportunity was too good to be left. And also I was offered to become a teaching assistant at the age of 23 at the American University of Beirut.
Wow.
So I said, you know what, I'm not going to leave this opportunity. So I started. Second semester, a company called Millennium Development. It was the first development management company in all of the Middle East region. It was established in 1999. And at that point in time, the concept of development management was very new to the region. Developers like Emar, Damak was still brand new at that point in time, and all the developers in the region didn't have a development team. They didn't understand why they need development teams when you deal with mega-scale projects. And that's related, obviously, to the complexity and how you need to balance between the technical side and the commercial side of the business. So that set of skills wasn't there. So this company was specialized in providing that service for developers across the region. It was owned by the Prime Minister of Lebanon at that point. He wasn't the Prime Minister, he was the son of the Prime Minister. Mr. Rafiq al-Hariri, he was the Prime Minister, and Saad was his son, and in 2005 he became the Prime Minister. So I was headhunted by his office, and I started my career with them as a young guy, and stayed with them for 14 years, and I was very fortunate during that time. I was exposed to all the large-scale projects that happened in the region, including the Haram Plaza expansion, including Jabal Omar, the first project in all of Saudi Arabia to be listed in the Saudi Stock Exchange. Johor Financial District in Johor in Malaysia. Also, I was part of the team that worked on the project. New Aktau City in Kazakhstan, and so on and so forth. In the process, I was mostly focused at the beginning on the technical side as an architect. Then when I finished my degree in urban design, then I became specialized, in addition to architecture, in master planning, but not only from design perspective, also from a commercial perspective and creation of value. Then I got my MBA degree, which has helped me to complement my technical skills with financial and marketing and managerial skills. So I was able to bridge in between theory and practice in between both. Then I decided, after 10 years of experience back in 2009-10, well, you know what? I need to have a doctorate degree that would combine everything I have learned by now. And I'll be more honest with you guys. Obviously, you said that I look younger than my actual age.
That I have to compliment you about?
You do.
Thank you. That's a blessing at the age of 45.
I was shocked to know you're 45 and you told me you had a 14-year-old. And I said, really? And I look at myself, I'm like, I have a 2-year-old and I don't look
I was surprised when you said you worked with them 15 years. I was like, wow, that's a lot.
But at that point in time, when I was in my late 20s, it was a disadvantage because I used to look younger, and that's not good for business at that point in time.
Of course.
So the doctor title was also important. It helped me a lot to, to get the credibility.
So I read somewhere that your mother, I believe, or one of your parents wanted you to be a doctor?
Yeah, that's my mother.
That's your mother. And then that's the reason why you went and got a PhD.
Yeah, she wanted me to become a medical doctor. Because obviously, like I was always an accomplished student, so I had all the degrees and the ranking needed, and I always refused because it's not my thing. I want to do architecture. So when I've got my PhD after doing architecture and urban design, she told me, "Well, finally, you made my dream come true."
You made my dream come true. I don't care if you're the best. You're an architect. I need to tell my friends my son is a doctor. Oh wow, that must have been a good feeling as a mother, to see her son, on top of the game. MashaAllah. So tell us, I mean, of course, you've had all this experience from different parts of the world. What did you bring to Dubai when you started your first mega project?
Look, in Dubai, I worked on multiple projects, but my beginnings are not the thing that where I feel I made the change. I believe the change started when we launched a la carte, which was the first e-commerce experience in the real estate market of Dubai just before the COVID. It was the first time there was an opportunity for the buyers to go through a digital platform, pick up any layout that they want, with structural variations that include access to the rooftop, pool, no pool, landscaping.
I remember it was a beautiful experience on the app.
Different facade. You pick up what you want, and then you can book a unit online without talking to a single salesperson. Like that point in time, that was the big deal in the market. Now everyone's trying to copy that and implement it, but back in 2020, beginning of 2020, that was the big thing. Then after COVID, the big thing that made a huge change was Cavalli Casa that we launched, and that was the beginning of the new series of towers that were super successful. And everyone knows now we're selling towers in hours, not in days.
Minutes. I don't even think hours. And Cavalli Casa, I remember, was one of the most hyped up projects in Dubai because of its luxury status and location as well. I mean, Damak's not new to luxury, but I think that tower is special because of the plot location, nothing really around it that is as high rise on the side of Media City. So it seems like it's the beginning of the entire, skyline of Marina and JBR and GLT if you look at it from this side of the city. So tell us about that experience of developing, because I remember you said that that building is particularly close to your heart.
True. And it's close to my heart for two reasons. First, I'm going to start with the more strategic part, which is the approach of development that we follow. Our approach to development is very much unique and very non-conventional.
Okay.
Because for me, when I start thinking of a project, the first thing that I start thinking of is what are we going to tell the customer on the deal table when we're going to close the deal? What are his needs? What are his requirements? How I can satisfy his needs in the best possible way. But to achieve this, I need to understand the customer, the profiling. Who are we selling to? What the preference of that market? And then we reverse engineer the process to come up with a development brief that's solid from a vision perspective and from a numeric perspective, because obviously there are other sets of requirements. Like one of my videos, I explained the difference between sellable area, built-up area.
Oh, I love that video. I think that was a video that I sent to Sman.
Correct. And that's what I was saying. There's very few content on the market right now that they go into the details, into the numbers. We don't see so many people doing that, and that's what strikes me a lot about your content. That's why we enjoy it, we share it a lot.
Thank you, guys. So part of the brief is exactly to implement that, to check what are the possible ways by which I can maximize my sellable area to GFA area and maximize my sellable area to built-up area, because GFA is what I buy. Built-up area is what I pay for, my cost, and the sellable area is my revenue. Maximize what you're taking out of their money that you're putting on the table. Minimize what you're paying versus what you're selling, and maximize what you're selling. Achieve this balance, you're going to get the most financial profitable project that's possible.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Lagoons is doing so well, because your price per square foot is low compared to the area, and I think you guys are selling the most townhouses right now in the market.
100%, like Lagoons, it's almost gone. Like that project dominated the market by far.
And it's continuing to dominate.
Yeah.
I think 2022 was defined by Damak Lagoons as a master community. It's the number of most townhouses and villas sold in Dubai's real estate market in a single community.
True.
Now that in itself is a huge, feather on the cap of the House of Damak.
Yeah, it is indeed. Actually, this organization, led by the management, achieved a big milestone because Lagoons was a completely brand new community. And the day it was launched, we sold 900 villas in one day.
Wow. That's a few billion worth of sales.
That's like around a couple of billion dirhams. Imagine.
Wow.
That was a track record that was achieved for the first time in the history of Dubai's modern real estate market.
100%. I mean, the way Damak has sold that, I think it's a very unique concept as a community to have a usable water lagoon. So we've had a lot of communities in Dubai that have beautiful lake views, beautiful sea views, but we've never had a lagoon project which has so many amenities inside the water. And that's, I think, what we were discussing yesterday on the project model as well. And you mentioned a few of your favorite amenities. And I think that unique concept is what has really made Damak Lagoons fly off the, market.
And I think recently, because of the good feedback in the market from Damak Hills, after you guys added more amenities to it, even after you finished the project, you've taken good care of it. So it's put a positive image of Damak in the clients' minds. And I think that has really helped you when you've come to Lagoons and shown all these amenities, correct?
100%. Look, Damak Hills is to me, is the most beautiful community in all of Dubai. And just for people who don't know, I live in the Hills. I bought in the Hills. That's how I strongly believe in this community. It's so dear to my heart, and I'm enjoying living so much there. And again, between brackets, all of my real estate portfolio is with the Mag, by the way.
Oh,
so I bought nothing from other
So you practice what you preach. I like it. Okay, good.
So there's many projects in the market, Dr. Baydoun. How are you staying ahead of the market with design trends and technology?
Look, as I mentioned earlier, the element of differentiation is the process itself. How I think of the customer, what are his needs, and accordingly, based on that, we reverse engineer the process. Now, let me explain to you something that I think will be of interest to you, because obviously you're in the sales game. Do you know, guys, how the human brain, biologically, forget about the psychology and stuff, biologically decide to buy this mobile?
Visually? Visually?
Visually, practically, there is a part of...
Emotionally?
It's a combination between all of that, but I'll tell you how the human brain functions and how actually you can convince the human brain to push the green button. I'm not going to say manipulate. So the brain is composed of two sections when it comes to decision making: the Homo sapiens brain and the limbic brain. The Homo sapiens brain is responsible for all the logical analysis. So I would tell you this mobile has high capacity, it has a great camera, the color is great. No. How many times you've been in a shopping mall and someone pitched you a product and he gave you all the logical arguments, but you did not buy it. You did, I'm not feeling like it, right? Yeah. Because he didn't manage to touch your limbic brain. Limbic brain is your emotional side that's connected to your purpose. You need to understand what's the purpose of this customer, and accordingly, you pitch the product. I'll give you a quick example. Today, do you believe the iPhone is the best technically advanced device available in the market? You think?
No, I think there's a lot of Huawei's and a lot of different brands that I've never heard of that have better cameras, better, I don't know.
Even
functionality.
Samsung always one-ups, whatever
100%.
they're
Well, I'm
offering.
still using my Apple.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too.
All three of
I have
us.
2 iPhones.
Why do you think we buy iPhone? All of us. Although we are aware of this game, but we still will buy iPhone.
Emotions.
I think it's
I guess
brand. For me, it's the fact that I have all my devices are
iOS.
Apple on the iOS platform, so it's just easy. And of course, it's a nice device and it's visually easy to use, and I become used to the platform maybe.
All what you're saying is true, but there's something a bit more strategic in this area. Apple convinced us that an iPhone is the device that symbolizes innovation and honestly status. So which can easily connect to many people's purposes, and that's why you will see many people, although they know it's not the best device,
Yeah.
still they will buy the most.
Yeah.
And they're paying the most for it.
Exactly, and they're happy.
Yeah.
Why? Because Apple managed to touch our limbic brain, and that's why every year we press the green button and we buy.
It's the branding, positioning, and I guess that is what.
So it's connected to our purpose. So that's what you guys think about as well when you're launching projects, when you're selling something. Like, for example, in terms of, how would you connect that in terms of a project?
I'll tell you. I'll give you one of the examples, a real life example. I'm going to skip all the names in the process. One time, one of the sales head approached me, and he told me, I have a bulk deal buyer. He wants to buy a series of villas in one of the projects that I have launched. His budget is 100 million dirhams. But this guy has a lot of questions. He's a bit hesitant. So how can you help me to close the deal? Then I told him, bring him to my office at 7 p.m. in the evening. He said, why 7 p.m.? You will see. Bring him at 7 p.m. and you will know. 6:55, I took off my jacket, rolled off my sleeve, started sketching for a new project, and they came in after like 5-7 minutes. Then he stepped inside the bulk buyer, and then the first thing I told him, welcome to the kitchen.
This is where the cooking happens.
Exactly.
He's the doctor, he's the cook, he's everything.
So psychologically, from that moment onwards, he felt that he's at a privilege by being that close to the product definition.
Development process.
So He already we ticked the first box. Before he came in, I profiled him. I asked the sales manager that was handling his account, how old is he? What are his interests? Does he like to party? Is he into sports? Is he married? Does he have kids? Why asking you all of those questions? It's a real estate deal. Just answer my questions. And they did. So I profiled him in my head. Then this guy wanted to buy the townhouses. And I asked him, you want to sell to who? He said mostly to a certain nationality. So, okay. People from this nationality, are they families connected or they are spread from different families? He told me, no, my customers basically are most of them are bulk buyers and they know each other. Oh, perfect. I told him, you want to flip this after a few months or keep it till construction? He said, I want to do half-half. I smelt in the process that he has this dream of having his own development. So I knew where is his soft spot, and I entered from that spot. Told him, see this strip of villas? He said, yeah. I told him, it has access from one point. He said, yeah, that's true. I told him, that's a cluster within the cluster, something that you can take and sell as part of your own brand, although it's part of the MAC clusters. I said, yeah. So the families are interconnected, right? He said, yeah. Told them, so there's no pass-through traffic, so the kids can play around together in the street in a safe environment. He said, yeah, it's amazing. Told him, but we have one little problem. He said, what's the problem? Told him the budget for the strip is 200 million dirhams, not 100. It's way higher than mine. Try to talk to your investors. Then I helped him actually on the phone, and I pitched the product to his investors. The deal was closed, and the sale was done. Why?
Wow.
Because I understood his brain, and I reached his limbic brain. That's why on the spot, he pressed the green button, and he...
Wow. Wow. I need to bring all my clients to you now.
Every time we're stuck with the bulk line, you know who to call. Doctor.
You'll be bothered by us quite a bit. No, but that is 100%. I agree with you. Getting to the client on an emotional level, like how you said you got through to him, saying that, your family, your kids, this is what you... Understanding the vision of a buyer is extremely important, and knowing what to pitch and to the right profile of customer as well.
Correct. To resonate with the buyer. Anything I think we buy, it needs to resonate with you, And at that point, you are not... Because logically, I think for any client, there are 20 projects in the market. When you have a certain price point, certain ROI you're looking for, there are too many options. What is going to make you make the decision? At the end of the day, it needs to connect with you. Emotionally, it needs to make sense. I have some clients who've ended up buying in some buildings in downtown where it probably wasn't the best investment, but they wanted to be in downtown. They wanted to be close to Burj Khalifa. And over time, that paid them off, But I think every client, whether it's real estate, anything else, it needs to resonate with them. It's an emotional purchase at the end of the day.
100%. And that same approach we follow whenever we define a new project. People that look at the periphery, they think what we do is just, we come up with crazy idea, we come up with interesting story, and we pitch it to the market. But people don't understand why it works. It works because we study and we tailor-made that story to the needs and the profile of the buyers. And that's why people, they like it and they buy. And that's genuinely responding to their needs and their purposes. And that's why we believe that we're not sending out product for the just of sake selling it. We are also giving people value for your money, and we are delivering what they are expecting from us from a product perspective.
And that's why I think recently we've seen a lot of branding with Damac and major fashion brands. So you've seen all your Cavalli towers and now De Grisagono. So tell us a little bit more about your journey from an architectural purposes and a development purpose, from designing a building with the brand. How do you bring the story of the brand into the development? And how has that helped Damac this year?
First, when you want to design with a certain brand, you need to understand what's the DNA of that brand. And then the trick is not to be consumed by it from a fashion perspective. Let's say Cavalli is a fashion brand. So when I take it and apply it in a building, there are multiple challenges, by the way. Because fashion by nature is something that's seasonal, right? So every season you need to change the collection. But when I design a building, I want people, when they enter the building after 10 years, to feel as if it has been completed yesterday. So the challenge is to respect the DNA of the brand and yet give people a timeless design that would sustain over time. And that's why you would see the adaptation of the brand DNA in our projects, you will know immediately, for example, that this is a Cavalli branded, but at the same time, whenever you look at it, you say, well, it is Cavalli, but it's also timeless. And I think that's the trick when you want to use a fashion brand and implement it in a design. The second thing, and honestly, that's helped a lot. Obviously, our chairman, Hossein Sajwani, he owns Cavalli and he owns Digar Zugono. That's not in the market. So because he owns those brands, we have the luxury to use or to put the name of those brands on the towers themselves. Now, with all my due respect for all the developers in the market, all of them, when they use a certain brand, they say brand by, interior by, inspired by. But you will never see a single rendering that they put in the brochure on which they're going to put the name of the brand. It's always in the brochure, not in the rendering on the building. They cannot. From our end, we put the name of the brand on the building, and that drives a major premium.
Of course, 100%. If you look at Miami, if you look at most other major cities that have a lot of branded residents or that have the appetite for branded residences. I know there's a very famous tower, Porsche Tower in Miami.
Exactly.
You know, everyone knows that because of Porsche. And I think Cavalli Tower in Marina, to begin things, to kick off the Cavalli brand, is really going to put Dubai and Cavalli on the map within the real estate market of Dubai for sure. And I think it's a beautiful building, timeless in design, huge plot, by the way, huge plot, lots of amenities. You have a beach inside the building. You know, we've sold quite a bit in this tower, so it's very close to my heart as well. And my clients' hearts who are, getting an excellent premium on that project right now.
100%, particularly that if you look at all the buildings that have been designed along that line, all of them, without any exception, they have front and back units.
Yeah.
The only building on the whole line that has units only overlooking the water is Cavalli Casa.
Yeah.
Because what we did, rather than having a rectangular or squarish building, we opened up the curve to maximize consumption of GFA on the frontage, and that helped us within the allowed maximum number of floors to make every single unit overlooking the water.
This design philosophy I can also see in Safa 1, especially the Tower 1, where you've put the elevators towards the back, and in the front you have all the 2 bedrooms and the 3 bedrooms in the corner. So you guys have maximized the views as well in Safa 1.
100%.
And I think that's where I think your touch of architectural perspective is seen across all the developments of Damac recently.
Thank you.
And you're making our life easier. As brokers,
Because we
you're
have more
making it
units to
easier.
sell
Yeah.
with a good view. And that's the most important thing when you're selling, a building of that stature. Talk to us also about your latest development, Canal Heights. You know, that's once again broken a record for one of the fastest selling towers. I think it was 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
we were there and our clients were running around to get units, and some got, some didn't. So we're saving them up for the next launch. But tell us a little bit more about the design limitations that you had while developing Business Bay and how you managed to overcome those from an architectural and development business perspective.
With pleasure. The whole story started with the brand, which was Digar Zugono. Now, as you know, we created this concept of having a new gem for every new launch. We started with Safa 1, Emerald, Ruby in Safa 2, Feroza for Chic, and Canal Heights, the first one, we used the Pearl as a source of inspiration, which is highly connected to the heritage of UAE and the
Dubai is
pearl
known to be
hunting.
pearl divers, the pearl
Exactly.
diving city.
So the whole story started when we bought the 2 plots. I said, it's a great opportunity to create the first twin towers in all of Business Bay and the tallest tower in all of Business Bay on Dubai's waterfront. Now, creating twin towers was always something that I was looking for across my career, obviously because I have a twins.
Okay.
Hi, Jad and Yasmin. So it was something that's also dear to my heart. And at the same time, we had a major challenge technically, because you are buying a certain area, right? And you want also to maximize the view. And you have a limitation on number of height. And the trick of Cavalli Casa didn't work there. The curve doesn't work. We tried it. So we thought how to overcome this problem. Then we came up with this idea. You have water canal, right? It has a certain width. But the longer view of the water will come on the sides because you
That's
see
right.
at the long edge of the whole stretch of the water
The
canal.
further end of the water.
So they said, you know what? Let us create a V-shaped building that captures the view, and at the same time, when you have a straight, let's say the straight line between 2 points A and B is X. Once you make it triangulated, when you break it, it's going to be around 1.6 times that. So you're going to have 1.6 times what you would get in normal building in terms of units per floor, and all of them not just overlooking the water, it's overlooking the long side of the water.
That's 60% more units with a view.
So
literally.
Exactly. By this, we made sure that every single unit within the maximum building number of floors is overlooking the water and on its best side also. I believe that was the crack of the matter in this project.
And it was beautifully designed, and I think that's the reason why you got such good response. And another thing, on the podium of that building, I think you have the largest water body and swimming pool, I think, in Business Bay.
Yeah. We have the longest lapse pool in all of Business Bay, and we have the first indoor pearl hunting experience in the world.
That is crazy.
Inside of this
Pearl
building.
hunting experience inside a building.
Yeah.
Wow.
The water body looks like a shell, so you sit, you enjoy your time at the periphery as if it's a normal pool. Put your snorkeling device, take a breath, and take a dive.
Wow.
And this is where the whole world will change in front of you. Corals, pearls, get deeper dive, get closer to the pearl, read the information related to it, touch it by your own hand, and get the first snorkeling experience in the world in that of the exclusive building.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So how deep is this water?
It's around 2 meters.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's edutainment
Yes.
on another level, on a physical level. You know, you're diving in to learn. I mean, I'm excited to take actually my son to something like this maybe in a couple of years before. So hopefully I can take him out for a nice diving and educational tour at Canal Heights.
With pleasure.
Another really cool thing that I noticed in one of your buildings, Safa 1 with the rainforest on top. Now that is something I felt you are pushing the boundaries of development and architecture. Talk to us about how did the concept of making a rainforest come upon?
Look, when we started the design, we agreed on making it as Di Grizzagona. Actually, that was the first
Di
project,
Grizzagona
Di
Tower.
Grizzagona project in the world. So I asked for the guys to share with me the collection of Di Grizzagona, and I studied it. I'm talking about the jewelry collection. And I found a piece that was very, very famous a few years ago, which is basically a necklace created by the brand. Half of it made of diamond, half of it made of emerald, and in the middle you have the largest white diamond in the world that was placed at that point in time.
Already sounds super expensive to me.
Super. I said, okay, you know what? That piece of design is very, very special. And at the same time, the project is overlooking Safa Park, and it's overlooking the water. So I said to the guys, look what we will do. We're going to bring the green of nature and the green of luxury and combine it together and add the cherry on top, which is the water. Okay, what does this mean? I don't know what this means. It means that the whole facade will be inspired by the greenery as if the Safa Park is climbing on all of the units. And we made sure that in each and every balcony you're going to have
green.
Green, and not any green. We made sure that the species that are used in Safa Park are being replicated on the balcony.
Wow.
So you don't just overlook the park. You smell it and you feel it because the same plant is on your balcony at the same time. Then you go up, which is the cherry on top and the crown of the jewel, which was the most elevated tropical island indoor in the world. Loaded with greeneries, huge water bodies, species flying all around. And that was, I believe, the pinnacle and the cherry on top that, you know.
When I showed the renders of that to one of my clients who bought multiple units in Safa 1, he was blown away. He's like, how are they gonna make a forest on top of this building? I said, this is Dubai. You know, especially with, you know, if it was anyone else, I doubt it, but if it's Damak, I know it's gonna be done.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that is the beauty and I guess the experience of Damak coming into play, and even the watering concept, you know, how you're going to water, and I think there's going to be some rain aspects as well on top.
Of course. There's going to rain there around every hour. There's going to be a artificial raining system created.
That is going to be super cool.
And you know what we do is, what I like about it, what I'm proud of actually, is the fact that we come up with a crazy idea, and at the same time, we know exactly how technically it can be executed, like by the milli. I know, for example, how much depth you would need for every single type of tree, where to allocate it to minimize impact on the structure, where the water shall be placed, also to minimize the impact on the structure, how you can create an artificial system that by which you can create the artificial raining. All of those technical details, we are aware of that. Remember, I'm come from a technical background. I'm just not just
Of course.
crazy guy.
Let me make a rainforest on top of the building. Really? I went on a trip, and that's what I liked, and that's what I want in my building. That's it. And now the architects are like, oh no, Dr. Baydoun wants a rainforest. This guy is crazy. And then again, Safa 1 and Safa 2 are going to be connected.
Well, there is a discussion with the authorities to allow us to do that.
Okay.
If that's allowed, yeah, that's the intention.
Wow, that is
Subject
going to be
authorities
something
approval.
really cool.
Yeah.
I think once it's done, I think it's going to be super, super cool.
And I feel like you're setting the bar very high, for the other developers around who are even trying to launch something like that. It's becoming hard for them to compete, It's very good to see.
And one more thing from an architectural perspective that I have to, kudos to you, is that even with the curved structure of Safa 1 and Safa 2, you've managed to make very good layouts, especially with the 2 bedrooms in the front. They're beautiful square layouts with slight curves, obviously, for the building, but I think it adds a bit of, story to the architecture and design of the overall structure. So it's very, very nicely done, and kudos to you. And I'm just wondering, what next?
Next, we have a huge calendar of launches upcoming this year. The immediate one that rumors are being already circulated in the market, there's Damak Bay 2.
Wow.
That's going to be something very, very special.
Damak Bay 2.
Yeah. So if Damak Bay 1 was sold in less than an hour, this one I think is going to take the market to the next level, because the level of amenities, the way we have designed the buildings, the interconnection between the towers, and the kind of open spaces that we created that are flying up in the air, and how we connected the water DNA with the Cavalli DNA this time, it's coming with a twist, something different than what we have used so far in the market.
Wow. And another Cavalli building that I think is very, very cool is the one on the canal. And last time we had a discussion that the latest Cavalli launches of fashion are going to be held in that building. And the buyers or the residents of that Cavalli on the water and Al Safa is going to have, opposite to Safa Park, is going to have the first access to those Cavalli pieces. Talk to us a little bit more about this particular project, because I think architecturally, and I think this is going to be the status symbol. I mean, it's not the tallest tower, but it's a tower with all extremely large apartments.
100%. Every single unit will fall under the super luxury category. And there's a famous pitch that I think most of the agents they know it in the market. Because when it comes to this particular category of super luxury, usually what I try to do is to balance between 2 things. You have 2 types of luxury buyers in Dubai. You have the apartment lovers and you have the villa lovers. People that love the villa, they like it because of the outdoor experience, because of the privacy. And people that love the apartment, they like it because of the view and the convenience, because you cannot achieve the view that you want in an apartment in a villa. That's not physically possible. So we combined the best of both worlds, and we created a new pitch, which is what I call the sky villa. A villa that's flying up in the air. A huge flying garden loaded with landscape, private pool, hydroponic wall that can be used to plant edible plants. Pick up the ingredients of your salad, private bar, created there, electric grill, grill your meal, hold your drink, sit in the pool, and enjoy the astonishing view of the project.
Wow, I'm already feeling like I'm watching one of those Damak videos with you on my big laptop screen and painting that beautiful picture that I'm going to learn and spit out in front of my client. Dr. Baydoun said, you can pick up your plants, cut the vegetables, and eat it. No, but amazing story. I think with every Damak new development, you are pushing the bar up high, and it's just such beautifully done. And obviously the market is responding very, very well to this. But now coming towards the villa side, what next after Damak? Damak Hills 1 was a hit. Damak Hills 2 was a hit. Lagoons has just been, a story above and beyond. What else is, are we expecting now? Because Damac Lagoons is more or less done. I mean, I think everything is nearly sold out. So what's the next chapter when it comes to villas and townhouses from Damac?
Look, we have also an upcoming, very important upcoming launch in Damac Hills too. We have a very interesting and nice product that we didn't launch on the market so far. I'm gonna keep the details
Hush, hush.
hush hush at this stage, but I can guarantee you something that's very interesting and very competitive, and no one thought of such a product in the market so far.
Wow.
And we have other surprises that we're gonna keep it also under the table for the time being, but in the right time, we are always full of
So
surprises.
guys, stay tuned to the space. Big things coming out from the House of Damac. But anyways, coming back to architecture and social media actually, and we're going to talk a little bit about your social media. But before we go there, I want to talk to you a little bit more about how do you approach the needs of the client. I know you've spoken a little bit about what the client's journey is and what the demands are from the client being the developer. And how do you incorporate or bridge that gap? If you're hearing things from the market that we want space or we want design, and from your client you have different requirements, how do you bridge the gap, and from an architectural perspective? Because I know you are getting demands from either sides, the client and the customer. How do you make sure that those two fit and being financially viable as well?
Look, the aims are, if I want to simplify it, the client wants the best possible deal that he could get from a ticket price perspective or a layout perspective, and the client, which is the developer, would like to have the maximum possible profit, and at the same time the best possible addition to his brand equity.
Of course.
So usually there are multiple factors that help or not help, that what push me to find a balance in between these two factors. Let's start from something very basic, which is the mix. How many studios, how many one bed, how many two bed? Now, obviously, the customer would like to have more of the smaller units. That's the common market trend, like studio, one bedroom, it's mostly in demand. But what people don't know is that those are more expensive from a construction perspective as opposed to the two bed and three bed. You know why? Actually, I just need to make a reel about that.
Parking?
Parking is one, but before we reach the parking, there is also the kitchens and the bathroom. They are the most expensive items in any house.
Of course.
And when you increase the size of the unit, proportionally, the increase in the size of the kitchen and the bathroom is not proportionate. So that's why you end up paying more for the smaller units as opposed to the larger ones. Second, whether you're having studio or one bed or two bed, you need to provide one car parking space, right? And that's not part of the sellable area.
Yeah.
So that would also be taxing on your financial profitability. Plus, also there is a different factor, which is how many podiums and basement are allowed. And basement are very expensive. People that remember also I made a video about that.
Yes, you did, and I really like that video. The cost of the basement versus the cost of the podium.
Exactly. So my intention is to minimize basements as much as possible and maximize use of the podiums. So the more I have smaller units, the larger number of the units, the more parking I need, the more expensive the building will be. So I need to strike a balance by which I can maximize the margin and the IRR, which is related to the time value of money. So I try to maximize a balance for the velocity of sales at which I can sell the whole building, and at the same time I maximize my margin. And I drive all of my financial feasibility and my development brief and building design based on that.
Interesting, interesting. Wow, I mean, that is taking you to the back, the back of the development process that not everyone opens up about. So that's what I think, even from a content perspective, I love your content because you're actually going to the details of the development process from the other side of the table. We're all looking at just the brochures and the pretty pictures, but you are actually going into the science, behind the entire development process. And I think it's been very, very educational watching your content.
Thank you.
And coming to content now, finally, what pushed you to get on social media? An architect heading a development arm of, the biggest private developer in the Middle East. What made you think social media, would be something that you want to get into?
Honestly, I would give credit for that to two people. The first one is Amira Sajwani.
Okay.
Because the first movie that we've done for Lagoons, it was her idea. It wasn't anyone's other.
I remember that video very, very well. It really helped us sell.
So after, obviously, we replicated that concept for multiple projects and we created those movies. Then I was sitting with a friend of mine over a lunch. Her name is Hiba. So she was telling me, how was your social media account, your Instagram? I want to add you. Yes, sure. Then she looked at my profile. She told me, how come someone with your profile has such an account? You need to revamp it. What shall I do? She told me, well, you need to reorganize it. That's how you organize it. You need to create content. Why don't you create your own content? Okay, why not? Let me give it a shot. Then I started with that. At the beginning, it was more on the professional side. Then we added the sports component. Then an idea, again, that's the idea of Ali Sajwani, actually, where we could where I combined the fitness with the real estate. And then I evolved that into the character or the role of the doctor of real estate, where I became the professor that gives all the technical details behind the development. And the moment I hit that, this is where I went viral. Like I jumped over 300,000 followers. I have now 350. And a couple
Make sure, guys, you guys follow Dr. Baydoun. I'm going to make sure I mention his Instagram account over here. Very, very interesting content.
Thank you.
And then you brought your professor and architecture and development and fitness into a very, very good mix.
Thank you.
So Dr. Baydoun, coming to your black belt in karate, tell us a little bit more about your fitness journey. I mean, I look up. I mean, I'm guilty to have seen those 8 packs on your Instagram. I'm like, damn, dude, this guy is jacked. Tell us a little bit more about your fitness journey and what keeps you going to go to the gym in the morning. Because I go to the gym in the morning, but
he has a trainer now after seeing your packs. He's like, I will be here.
No, okay. But for the record, I've had a trainer for a year and a half.
But now he's taking him more seriously,
It's a motivator.
See, he has his meal prepped over there.
I meal prepped, guys. After this, I need a protein shake after this. No, but tell us a little bit more about how you got started in your fitness journey and what keeps you motivated.
The whole thing started at the age of 8, actually.
8?
Yeah, but at 8 I wasn't as intense. At 8 I started with gymnastics.
Wow, okay.
So that has nothing to do with martial arts, but it gave me the base of having, the flexibility and the physical power, because gymnastics needs a lot of physical power.
Core strength.
Yeah, core strength. Then at the age of 14, by coincidence, my mom sent me to a training camp. And during that training camp, they used to train judo. I never tried martial arts ever in my life. So I tried the judo, and I dominated all the kids. I discovered, I can fight. I didn't know that.
You're the kid that used to beat up other kids in school, huh? Dr. Baydoun. And then you decided to
move to martial arts. I moved to karate because I wanted something a bit more aggressive. I won the national championship of Lebanon at the age of 16. I won it again at the age of 17.
Wow.
I got my international black belt at the age of 17 also. During the same week, I was accepted to the School of Architecture, and I got my international black belt, and I was called to be part of the national team of Lebanon.
Really?
Yeah.
National team of Lebanon. Yeah. Wow.
So actually, I was like the upcoming next big thing, and they wanted me to be ready to represent Lebanon in the World Championship. But I had architecture is a full-time job, so I had to make the choice: either become a professional fighter or become an architect. So I took the path of architecture, but still I was competing locally on the University's Championship, Beirut, Lebanon, for quite a number of years. Then when I started my first masters, I flipped to Muay Thai, Thailand boxing.
Oh, okay.
I won the championship of the universities. Then at the age of 35, I said, you know what? I want to achieve something new this year. I'm going to get a second black belt in mixed martial arts.
Really? Oh my God.
So there are like 4 different ways you can kick our ass. Huh? MMA, karate, judo. I don't want to argue with you today. Whatever he says, he's right. He's right.
I'm not even going to try. Wow. So at 35, you decided to...
Yeah. And I won, and I got my black belt. And I kept my fitness journey up till now. I hit the gym at 5:30 in the morning.
MashaAllah, I mean, that's amazing.
Doing a lot of calisthenics. And I won a couple of championships here in Dubai, actually, in CrossFit in 2019.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How long do you spend in the gym?
An hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, I spend like an hour for strength training. Or I do martial arts. I have a private trainer. He comes to my house. We do martial arts in different disciplines, boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, just to keep my skills sharp.
And this is in the morning as well?
Yeah, all of this in the morning.
Wow. Okay.
And now, not recently, I've been to calisthenics in 2014, but now I'm taking my game to the next level by learning new skills like handstand push-ups, front lever, muscle ups, all of those cool skills. I'm trying to learn it now.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, I started my fitness journey about 1.5 years ago. Of course, I've always been on and off at the gym, trying to do something. But for the last 1.5 years, I've been more or less going 4 to 5 times a week in the morning as well. And I thought I go early. I go at 7:30, and this guy comes up and he's like, I go at 5:30. I'm like, whoa! I thought 7:30 was early. You make me look bad on this podcast, my first episode. No, but seriously, I think it gives you, at this time of the day, I'm still full of energy. And I think that's what working out does. It helps you operate at your highest level.
100%. And I'll be honest with you, it has also a certain level of satisfaction. Because look, money can buy you many things in life, right? But to get a body of this level, it's something money cannot buy.
Of course, 100%.
So it gives you a lot of confidence, like
100%. And I think for all high performers like yourself, you need that confidence, you need that mental sharpness, and I think all of that comes through working out. And I always tell all of our team in the office as well, guys, go to the gym. I actually motivated 4 or 5 people to start joining my gym, and they come and train with my trainer.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so we have a whole Springfield team going there and training, because I feel like, especially in sales as well, we have a lot of ups and downs. But working out, it's that positivity in the morning. You feel like you check box the toughest part of the day is done. And now bring it on. Whatever you bring on, it's okay. After you've already had that, and I think it makes you very physically and mentally tough.
100%, particularly when you compete, because, and by the way, martial arts helped me a lot in public speaking. Okay, how these two are interconnected.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you compete, just try to imagine that moment when you've been training for like 3 to 4 months, preparing for a fight, and imagine that moment where you're stepping inside of the ring or the cage, and that the opponent have done the same for the last 3 to 4 months. He's trying to beat you, and you're trying to beat him.
Yeah.
You step inside, eye to eye. The ring is about to close, and there's no one else to help you. It's you versus him. Imagine the level of fear that you feel at that point in time. And by the way, I trained with many world champions. They all told me the same thing. The moment they enter the ring or the cage, they freak out, all of them. 10 seconds, and after 10 seconds, as if the audience doesn't exist. You and him in a room, close, you don't hear anyone. You don't hear your coach, you don't hear anyone. And it's one mission and one mission only, to beat him. And this is where all your instinct, all your training will come in. So after an experience like that, any public speaking on stage will become easy.
Wow, I mean, the picture you've just painted, it's making me feel like I should start this competition, because it really makes you, what is business? What is life? Especially in a competitive field like real estate that you're in, that we're in, competition is very important. If you don't have a competitive bone in your body, you're not going to achieve at the highest level. And I don't think that's in real estate. I think it's in life. If you're not a competitive person, you're never going to be on top of your game.
True.
Whatever game it is in life. And I think maybe that is something that I would think as an outsider has helped you come up the ranks. There's so many architects, but there's only one head of development at the House of Damak. So
Thank you.
I must say the pressure, because Damak is launching something every week. Every week, every 2 weeks, Damak is coming up with new developments. So you guys are churning out a lot of designs and a lot of new concepts. So that must be super, super tough on the time.
And how do you balance it? Because we see you at the gym, we see you on social media, and obviously you're a workaholic as well. How are you able to, do you compartmentalize things? How do you do it? Like arrange?
There's a compromise somewhere, and the compromise is, I'll be honest, it's on my personal life and on my sleep. I don't sleep a lot, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I sleep like 5-6 hours maximum per night.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, otherwise I cannot do all of that together.
Oh, so that's the trick.
Yeah. So you wake up in the morning, that you do your workout, then you go to the work. Then in the evening or over the weekend, I put the script of my social media and do the shooting. Now, what's good is that I'm quick in those content
You're a
creation.
natural speaker.
Yeah.
We went yesterday to the House of the Mac, and I mean, at the sales center, I was telling my videographer, I was telling Sman before he came in, I said, Dr. Baydoun is a natural. I mean, this guy does not need a second take. He comes in, he just started, I just throw any question at him, and he replies back, and he answered back, and he did it beautifully yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, so that's definitely a skill, I think, from teaching, maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you've been a professor as well.
Yeah, and also participated in many international conferences, so that helped a lot.
Okay. And then you do all your social media on the weekends.
Yeah. We do the shooting. And shooting doesn't take much time, by the way. The part that takes more time is preparing the content, which is like, I don't take even like a lot. Like I need like an hour or an hour and a half to prepare 3 to 4 movies. But the shooting is easier. It takes 30 to 40 minutes. That's it.
I mean, that's amazing. And I think now, I mean, obviously, DeMac is a big name, is a big brand in itself. But Dr. Baydoun is becoming a brand in himself. You know, he's a, you know, I must congratulate you for being a celebrity architect now. You're the only architect that I believe has as many followers as you do on social media. You know, so I have to give you kudos to that. And thank you so much, Dr. Baydoun. It has been a real pleasure having someone like yourself, you know, to be our first podcast. Me and Usman had a lot of discussions about who should we invite? You know, we have to start our first podcast with a big bang. And, you know, it's, you know, of course, you know, we really went through your profile and we really loved your content. So I would really push everyone watching this podcast to please take a minute, check out Dr. Mohammed Baydoun's Instagram page. He is very educational and entertaining at the same time. So make sure to follow his content. And thank you, Dr. Baydoun, for your time. It's really, really been a pleasure.
Thank you, gents. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. And have a good day. And hope to see you guys very soon for our second episode. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you for watching. And God bless.